is located 15 miles north of Bangor off of I-95 on exit 199. Alton is a textbook example of rural Maine. Small communities, overgrown fields, and pine barrens.
So this is Alton. Really not much going on, honestly.
If Alton doesn't have that much going on, then why am I covering it? Well, this is a Maine Town by Town series, meant to be a documentary series exploring every single Maine town, highlighting its identity and even its struggles. And as we'll see today, we'll highlight some of the struggles that many Maine small towns face. And here we have Alton, less than 200 years old, and a population of 800. Let's take a dive into rural Maine. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts quote-unquote purchased land from the Penobscot Indians in the 1700s, then sold it to Waterville College, modern-day Colby College. Lots were given to individual settlers. In 1818, Alton was settled. In the 1820s, the Betnotch Road, basically the community's main street, was built. It was incorporated on May 7, 1844, with 200 people in the town at the time, and it was seen as a stopping point for points further northwards to travel. Alton, Maine. Its geography is, well, flat, trees, and overgrown fields, pine forests full of eastern white pine, red or Norway pine, and pitch pine, and heaths, which are unique nutrient-poor peatland ecosystems. With a population of 829, it is the highest population the town has ever had, which is unlike the typical rural Maine story. Many towns in Maine, historically at the late 1800s and early 1900s, were experiencing some level of industrialization. There were sawmills, there was timber, there was manufacturing, and many of these jobs left after the Great Depression, after World War II, and during the Cold War. However, Alton's story is different. Now here are some quick demographics just to give you an idea of what it looks like for the 829 people in Alton in rural Maine. We have the largest age group being 55 to 59, which is almost double the US average of 30 to 34. It is very homogenous, with white individuals making up over 99% of the population. The Maine average is 93, being the whitest state in the nation, and the national average is only 59%. The high school rate is 81%, with the Maine national level sitting roughly about 87%, which is not necessarily uncommon for rural areas. Now, let's talk about poverty. And this is not to belittle rural Maine for having high poverty rate, and this is not to place labels specifically on people. It's just simply to acknowledge a reality that exists. The poverty rate in Alton, Maine sits at 21.4%, double the Maine and national average of 10.6. This is very high. This makes us talk about, well, the federal government establishes poverty. However, it's not adjusted to inflation, and it can be seen as years outdated. That's why many groups use ALICE, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. This indicates average income that a household needs to afford basic expenses such as housing, food, healthcare, transport, and childcare. Households overlooked by federal standards. Using this matrix, 40% of Mainers experience this economic insecurity or poverty. Using this theory, that would mean over 2/3 of Alton residents experience this same constraint. Talk about strength, the strength of community, specifically in Alton, centering around their dance hall, Happy Acres. Happy Acres first opened as the New Moon Pavilion on July 4th, 1953. Throughout most of its 60-year history, the hall hosted live bands and dancing, the best performers of Central Maine. By far, the most notable feature of the dance hall was its ceiling, with over 650 stenciled tiles of locals who had enjoyed the dance hall over the years. Historically, it was known as a bottle club, a place where anyone over 21 could bring their own beer, as the place didn't serve alcohol. Anyone under 21 would have to be there with a guardian or parent and could not drink. All accounts I could find is that Happy Acres closed in 2018. It was resold and reopened around 2022 to a couple with local roots who had big ambitions for the place. However, due to many renovation needs and someone stealing their bar, they ended up closing a year later. The building now sits unused. However, hopefully someone has the ambitions that this couple did and can revitalize the dance hall to its historic significance. That's a wrap on Alton. I hope you enjoyed this textbook example of rural Maine. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Please like, subscribe, and share.